My name is Nora. I'm 62 years old, and I live in Reading, Pennsylvania. I've been alone for a long time now. My husband died of cancer 8 years ago. After that, it was just me and my daughter, Angie. We were close. So close it felt like we shared a heart. We talked every day, even when she went away to college. She called me when she was sad, asked for my opinion on things as small as curtains. That kind of closeness. But all of it began to change when Jason entered her life. The first time I met Jason was 5 years ago at Thanksgiving. He looked the part. Sharp suit, fancy watch, smooth voice. He smiled, asked polite questions, but something about him felt off, like he wasn't really listening, like I was beneath him. I said nothing, of course. Angie was in love, and all I wanted was for her to be happy. Still, Jason dropped subtle jabs, comments about my neighborhood being good enough for now, or about how Angie turned out okay despite everything. Passive-aggressive, smug, but I bit my tongue. They got married fast. Too fast. I helped them move, painted the nursery when Angie got pregnant. I was there when my granddaughter Ellie was born. For the first year, everything seemed fine. But slowly, Angie changed. She became distant. Her calls got shorter, her voice flat. When I asked what was wrong, she just said she was busy. Sometimes I'd call and Jason would answer, claiming she was out, even when I could hear her voice in the background. She stopped visiting. I wasn't invited to birthdays anymore. And each time I asked why, Angie had an excuse that didn't sound like her. On Angie's 34th birthday, I decided to surprise her. I baked her favorite cake, vanilla almond with raspberry filling and cream cheese frosting, all from scratch. It took me hours. I wrapped it up, tied a blue ribbon around the box, and walked 3 miles in the rain to deliver it. My hands were numb by the time I got there. Jason opened the door, took one look at me, and said, "This isn't a charity drive." Then he closed the door in my face. Angie never came out. I walked back home in the rain, the cake ruined. I dropped it in the trash and sat on the floor and cried. That was the last time I visited. I stopped calling, stopped texting. I thought I'd lost her. Months passed in silence, until one Tuesday, everything changed. 2 police officers knocked on my door. One of them held a box with my name on it. "Are you Nora Weller?" he asked. I nodded. "Do you know Angela Wilkins?" My throat tightened. "That's my daughter," I whispered. They told me there had been a welfare check. A neighbor had called. Inside the house, they found the box, filled with old letters, photos of Angie and me, and a note taped to the lid. "If anything happens to me, talk to my mom." That's when I realized Jason wasn't just cold or controlling. He was dangerous. Angie had been crying for help, silently, for years. I told the officers everything about the birthday cake, the distance, the subtle signs. Officer Mendes, the older one, took notes. He promised there was an investigation. Then they left. I stood there with that box in my hands, overwhelmed with guilt. I'd stopped trying. I thought she'd pushed me away. I didn't realize she was being caged. Inside the box were notes, some recent, some years old. One said, "Jason watches everything." Another, "He won't hit me in front of Ellie." That one shattered me. I wanted to fix it, to protect her, but I didn't know how. A week later, Mendes returned. Angie and Ellie had been moved to a safe location. They were alive. Jason had been arrested after police found cameras all over the house and disturbing footage. Angie had filed for a protective order. I cried with relief, but Jason wasn't done. Days later, someone broke into my home while I was asleep. Nothing was stolen, except the box with Angie's letters. The next day, I got an anonymous note in the mail. "You should have stayed away." I called the police. They checked everything, but couldn't do much. I installed cameras, locked every door, kept a bat by my bed. Then the phone calls started. Blocked numbers, silence on the other end. Sometimes I heard Ellie crying. Jason had made bail, and I knew I had to do something. Then came Denise. She found me through Facebook after seeing the news. She used to date Jason years ago, said he did the same things to her. Controlling, manipulative, violent. She had evidence, pictures, texts, old reports. Soon, 3 more women came forward. All had the same story. I gathered it all into a file. That's when I found the crack. Jason had been hiding assets, forging signatures. One fake LLC even used Angie's maiden name. I gave it all to Mendes. He reopened the case. But Jason must have known. He retaliated, smashed my kitchen window, left a brick with a photo of me and Angie, a red X across my face. So I took it further. I sent copies of Jason's crimes to every client, every real estate board, every news outlet. His business crumbled in days. More women came forward. The police, IRS, and CPS piled on. But just when it seemed over, Angie called me, sobbing. He took Ellie. Jason had forged documents and picked up Ellie from daycare. I knew the police would take too long, so I turned to Denise. She had access to his private Instagram. He'd posted a picture of a bonfire pit in Pine Grove, captioned, "Fresh start." I knew where he was. I drove there in the dark with a flip phone and a knife. The cabin was isolated. I found a window, saw Jason on the couch with Ellie asleep beside him. I slipped through the back door, whispered Ellie's name. She stirred. Jason looked up. Everything froze. He lunged at me. I pepper sprayed him. He screamed. I grabbed Ellie and ran. He chased us, half blind, but blue and red lights lit up the woods behind us. Angie had told Mendes everything. Jason was arrested on the spot. They found forged custody papers, video threats on his phone. That was it. The end. Jason was charged with abduction, forgery, fraud, intimidation, and domestic abuse. At the trial, Angie testified. So did I. So did every woman Jason had hurt. He got 48 years with no parole. His reputation was destroyed, his assets frozen. Angie got full custody. And I got my family back. Angie and Ellie moved in with me. Healing wasn't easy. There were night terrors, guilt, trauma. But one night, Angie came into my room, took my hand, and said, "You saved us." I cried. She told me she never stopped loving me. She just didn't know how to ask for help. That birthday cake I once threw away? I kept the box. Moldy, warped, frozen solid. A reminder, because the other box, the one with the letters that became our new beginning, Jason tried to bury us in silence, but we rose in fire, and now he'll rot in the silence of a prison cell for the rest of his miserable life.